After studying architecture at Carnegie Mellon University, Daphne Pulsifer moved to Monhegan Island. On the island, she quickly came to appreciate the creative problem-solving necessary for navigating remote island living, and she began to describe herself as an artist. Her studio on Monhegan, the Edison Studio, is open to visitors all summer. Please welcome Daphne for her presentation titled Flotsam.
On the left is my friend Tom Martin. I'm sure some of you recognize him. Does anybody know who the guy on the right is? Tom was known as the Birdman of Monhegan. He came to the island every spring and fall for the bird migration. Most days, Tom was out watching birds. From the shore, he would collect bits of lobster buoys that washed up, then on those rainy days not so well suited to bird watching, he would carve those pieces of foam into beautiful works of art. He was a frugal and creative man. When you live on an island, you appreciate the resources available to you. This is Manana Island. You can see the home my husband and I built there. There's also a bit of Monhegan visible on the far left with the harbor between. The harbor looks so small from this distance. Historically, coastal islands like Manana have provided excellent habitat for grazing animals without the need for fencing and continuous supervision. Transporting animals to our little island means getting them across the harbor, which doesn't seem so small when you have nervous animals barely contained in your rowboat. Years ago, I was told that sheep will drown if they go overboard. When we first brought Susie Q to Manana, she jumped safely out of the skiff onto the rocks, and then, to our surprise, she jumped into the ocean. While we frantically debated how we were going to rescue her, she swam in a wide circle around us and climbed up onto Manana. No one had told her sheep can't swim. All the animals have personalities. Mary Jane, she's a piece of work. She's our dominant female goat, the first to get treats we offer, and eager to command the highest rock. The babies she nurses grow quickly. Of course, all the kids are adorable. Gandalf, Petaluma, Betty Boop. The picturesque goats on the hillside are entertaining and inspiring. I first shaped this sculpture in clay, then made a rubber mold. From the mold, I cast a series of waxes. This is a brown wax that looks like chocolate. A chocolate goat? No, that's a different medium. The waxes go to a foundry where they are encased in a ceramic shell. The shell is heated, the wax melted out, and molten bronze is poured into the space that remains. This is called the lost wax casting process. The spark of inspiration at the beginning of a project is exciting. It's a time when everything seems possible. A few years ago, I found a large piece of blue flotation foam washed up on the rocks of Manana. I thought of Tom Martin, and I knew, I can make something with this. The foam had likely been part of a dock or mooring far from Monhegan. Broken and battered by storms, it washed ashore here with bits of seaweed stuck to it and pieces of shell wedged in cracks. It was Manana foam now, and I was determined to find some goats inside it. Tom Martin used sharp utility knife blades to carve his geometric patterns into buoy foam. I found Manana foam easy to cut with saws and shape with rasps. It seems kind of funny to say, but my favorite tool was a hoof trimming knife, which has a curved blade and a hook on the end. With it, I defined the rounded shapes of a mother and kid goat. The tool could shape the inside curves of the animals' heads and bodies and left rough cutting marks where I wanted texture for the hair. When I was satisfied with the carved form, I painted it with white paint, because that's what color I had. The paint sealed the surface of the foam, and then a silicone rubber mold was made. At that point, the waxes could be prepared for the bronze casting process. At the Green Foundry in Elliott, Maine, I went over each wax, making changes and improvements. I also signed and numbered the waxes. The red casting wax reminds me of licorice, and I don't really like licorice. It's a big deal when there's a metal pour. Josh and his assistant handle the crucible with the molten bronze in it. To see these two move in unison is remarkable. Josh and his wife Lauren own the Green Foundry. There's something special about working with a family-owned facility, a sense of community. Several bronze mother and child sculptures are now permanently installed in private gardens. Even in the beginning, I did not imagine how much joy this simple composition would bring to other people. This spring, a young couple came into my studio on Lighthouse Hill. After seeing pictures of the foam goat carving process, they were excited to tell me about a piece of foam they'd seen on the rocks while kayaking around Monhegan. Their enthusiasm and their description of the foam, huge, I think they said, motivated me to go find it. It proved to be the perfect medium for a new sculpture. The working title for this piece is Monogram for an Island Shepherd. And of course, Susie Q was something of a model for it. Tom Martin died in 2016. I was never able to share my foam carving with him, but I think of him often, and I am grateful for all the wisdom and inspiration he generously gave. Thank you.